Good evening, guys. Welcome to edspread YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. And so far, this is our sixth day in our Introduction to Web Development Bootcamp. And by now, you have completed most of the CSS part. On only a little part is left over. And by today's session, we'll be completing almost all the entire CSS part. And in tomorrow class, we'll be completing a project based on HTML and CSS. So stay tuned with us to complete the tomorrow's project. And just a small reminder to fill the attendance sheet present in the chat box so that you'll be getting a certificate of participation by the end of the bootcamp. And on attending the tomorrow's project video and completing your own project will certify you a completion certificate. So thereby by the end of this bootcamp you will be getting two certificates. And in today's session we'll discuss about the display property, the position property present in CSS, and also the floating property. So let's start today's session. So let's start display property. So display property is of four types. You have your block value, you have your block property, your inline property, and the another property is inline block property. It's the combination of these two properties, and the fourth one is none. So what is block or inline property? So to understand it clearly, I'll demonstrate you the use of the block and inline property. Let's open our Visual Code. So in this top, it's introduction to web dev. So yeah, let's open this folder. Yeah. So this is our day 6 in our project, and let's create a file saying display property. So we'll give you a boilerplate HTML. Yeah. And let's change the title of this page. Now save this, copy its path. Yeah, so this is our web page. So now let's give a random h1 tag saying yeah. So I guess you all might have predicted the output by now. Now why I'm giving an h1 tag? Now let us give a certain background color to this. Let us head over to internal CSS, give a style tag, an h1 type, and go for background color and give some random, let's say crimson. Yeah. So you can see that you're getting a background color up to the entire block. Actually, our text is up to here itself. So rather than getting background color here, we're getting to the entire web page. The width of this is equal to the entire web page. So why is this happening? So the type of this element is known as the block type. So you can see it's like a block, So this type of elements are known as the block. So let's discuss about the inline elements. So there's a slight difference between inline elements. And by now you can predict that the block elements are h1 tags, the paragraph tags, the forms, tables, and everything which you have done by now. Most of them are block tags. And so what are the inline tags? Now let me give an example. Let me introduce to you a new tag. This is known as span. Other elements of inline are image, which you have done by now, and also the links. So img and link tag and a tag for hyperreference, those all comes under inline CSS. I mean inline blocks. So let us give any text. Let us say the same text. Good evening. Now save this and run. There's not any change. This is h1. This is absolutely like a paragraph tag. Now let us say this is also a paragraph tag for you, so that you can identify the change. And let's change this over here. Now save this. So for, let's say, now let's put this comment for a while. When you save and run, you can see both of them are same. So, but for viewing, you might think these both are same, but actually they aren't. This is a block type and this is an inline type. So I can give a quick overview. Now let us say I'm uh, giving you another span tag saying hey. Now when I run this, oh, you can see that I'm getting the next element to the side of it. But actually, you have to get in the bottom right, followed by the good evening tag. I expected that the header should come over here. But why is it coming to the side of it? So you can know, you can debug using background color. Just give a background color to it. And let's do the same for this span tag as well. Let's give another color, dark blue. Save and run. You can see that this comes under the entire block, but whereas these are small blocks. Actually these aren't blocks, these are inline. You can see the good evening is up to here itself. So that's the reason the block is only up to here. So the block size takes the length of the text written inside it, or the content present inside it. But whereas the block elements are opposite of it, it covers the entire web page no matter what the text is there inside it. That's the reason when you're writing good evening, the block type is covering the entire text over here. So there's no place for it to come to place itself at the top of the web page. That's the reason it's being pushed to the downwards. And you can see there's a lot of space here. That's the reason when I'm writing hey there, that's being incorporated to the side of this good evening tag. So in certain times we'll be using the block type and also inline type. The major disadvantage of inline type is that you cannot change the width in it. Now let us say I'm going to my span tag and I'm giving a width of, let's say, 200 pixels. Let's make the same change for the p tag as well. Now save this and run. You can see the p tag has been changed to 200 pixels, but whereas the block inline type are not being changed, because the definition in inline type only incorporates that the block takes the amount of space which as the equal to the space covered by the content in it. Now the space covered by content, let's say it's 70 pixels and you're trying to make it as 150 pixels, it does not allow it, but whereas block type allows it. But now if I wanted to incorporate the inline changes in block type, then you can use a new display known as an inline block tag. You can do this. Now you can see in span I'm unable to use the width options, right? I can do by just changing its display property. Let's head over to display and make this as inline block. Now save this and run. You can see now the width of the good evening tags at the bottom good evening tags has been changed. This is because now this is an inline tag but also follows the block properties. We can change the width of it, the height, or any attributes present in it, and also their side to side elements, as they are not block rather than their inline elements. So this is about the display property, and you can also give none display to it, so that's also one type. But the main types which we use in this are block and inline block. You can see compared to display inline, the major difference is that display inline allows to set a width and height of an element. So inline width allows you to inline blocks allows you to set an height and width, but whereas only single inline does not allow you. So these are the three major difference, and this is the introduction about block elements and inline elements. Coming to positioning. The positioning in CSS is pretty major part and pretty important because position itself determines you to place an element. Now my good evening tag is over here, but I wanted to place it over or right side or followed by the blue tag. I want my blue tag to be on top and red tag on the bottom. So to make all these changes, we have to understand the concept of position. So in position mainly there are four types. You have more other types than this, but these four are pretty important. One is static. Now the one which you are viewing is a static tag, which is defaultly fixed in your browser, which you need not explicitly write static. So now these tags are in static positioning. Because now you can position them right by adding margin or some other way you can position them. So even static comes under a position type. After starting, we are having a relative. So let's dive into the relative part. Yeah, so the element is in relative is positioned according to the normal flow of document. So let's see an example and you can understand it clearly. Let's create a new file saying relative.html. Let's get a boilerplate over here. Change the title. Yeah, you can change directly here. Yeah, we got our web page. So first of all, let's create a box so that you can clearly understand. Let's give a div tag to it and head over to your title tag. Go for style. Go for style tag. Sorry, and give a div type and make the following changes. Give it a certain width, so let's say 200 pixels. Even the height. After height, let's give a certain background color to it. Let's say dark green. Now save this and run. You got nice little there over here. Let's remove this margins. It freaks me out. Use it has 0 pixels. Yeah. So now it's clean and clear. Now my div is actually here, but what if I wanted to place my div in here? I wanted my block to come over here. So let's use position as relative. You can use position, and you'll be actually when you use position, you'll be getting different attributes like absolute, fixed, relative, static. And let's go for relative now. For now, now save this and run. You won't find any changes. With this, let's create another tag. Let's give a class to this saying top. Let's say bottom, and let's access them using dot operator. Here's our bottom tag. Let's even change its color. Let's say transparent. Now save and run. Yeah, you got two tags over there, two divs, which are pretty cool. Now what you want to do is let's say you want to bring your green tag over here. You can go for position relative. Now you have used a position, there is no any change. Even if you use static, then it might be the same case. Now you can change the position by using four attributes, that's left, right, top and bottom. The same way like you add margin, you can change the position over here. Now what happens when we use relative? So when we use relative and you give a left push of 200 pixel. Now let's say I'm giving a left of 200 pixel. Now save this and run. You are getting a left push of 200 pixel. Actually you might get a doubt, if I'm using left the body should move towards left, but that's not the case which is happening here. When you use left, a margin is being added the same way which you studied in margin, but the margin over here is different. It's let me show you. It's a new margin known as position margin. Head over here to body tag to div class. You can see there's a position margin over here. And another important thing is that now the div does not this block does not comes under our div. When you hover over your position tag, you can see from starting from here to the end of the width comes under your div tag, but the case before this doesn't come under div tag because now this is being taken as a position margin. You can say so here. Now this 200 pixel comes on a position margin, which means it might be invisible type of margin which prevents the red block to come towards the top. So this position margin is preventing the red block and it's keeping it downwards itself. Now what if I want my red block to hover over top? So to make those, go to your bottom position relative. Now as I wanted my red block to come topwards, which means I have to add a margin at the bottom of the red block. Let's say bottom, right? Bottom with a 200 pixels. Yeah. As you've done the margin concept already, this might be simple for you. Now when you go for bottom tag, as we're adding at the bottom, 200 pixel is coming at the bottom. So that's about our relative positioning. Now let us do a question on this. Now at Priya you will be having 3 divs, so you have to arrange 3 divs in this way. Now I'll be showing those 3 divs. Let's go to our relative.html. Let's make this as a middle container, and even let's create another div saying middle. Yeah. Now we need even a bottom container. This removes this all push relative stuff. Let's say this is red, this is blue, this is yellow. Now save and run. So it's starting your div is somewhat this type, and now you have to convert this div to this. So pause the video and try to complete this challenge. So actually by seeing this photo, you have to get a clear idea that these 3 elements are present in the same line, which means this is possible only if there are inline blocks. Suppose let's say that these are block elements. If they are block elements, this blue used to cover the entire path over here, and yellow used to take this entire block. So we can even implement that, but it becomes somewhat hard. So it's easy if we use inline blocks. We have to change the display property of this tree to inline block. You can also use only inline, but I always use inline block. Now if you want you can display block. Now if you save this and run, you can see the red block and blue block are on same line. So Now even let's change this on yellow tag. You can come. We have now. We currently completed half of the challenge. We made them to lie in the same line. Don't worry about these gaps because these gaps are created due to the inline block elements. So to show the difference between them, the Chrome defaultly adds an extra space to them, showing the difference between the inline blocks. Now, I want my blue block is in the middle. I want my blue block to come at the first and yellow block to be followed by that, by red block to go to the last. So we can use relative positioning over here. Let's say first replace this red block to the end of the block. First of all, you have to calculate the amount of margin which you have to have. From here to here, it's 200 pixels. Let's say this gap is 10 pixels or randomly, or it's not needed. And afterwards, you are having another 200 pixels and another 10 pixels. Around you're getting 200 plus 200, 400, and 420. Let's say it's 420 pixels. Let's try to create a 420 pixels pop-up position. The position which we're choosing is relative. Now if you save and run, there will be no major change. And you have to add at the left, right. So you're trying to push the block towards right, then you have to add a margin at the left. So go for left, and we thought about 420, right? Yeah, it's slightly bigger. I guess this gap is not 10 pixels. Let's say it's 5 plus 5, 10 pixels. Let's take it as 4, 10 pixels. Yeah, now it's almost correct. Now we completed placing our red block here. Now all we have to do is place the blue block. We have to slide the blue block to here by let's say this is 205 pixels. Now another thing is that where will you be adding the margin? If you add towards your left, then your blue block will coincide with the red block, but you want it to place in the first position, right? So try to add margin on the right side so that the blue block will be pushed towards the left. So we'll be pushing it with the 205 pixels. Let's give it a position of relative and a right of 205 pixels, right? Yeah, now that's correct. That's absolutely correct. Now all we have to do is place the yellow block to the middle. Actually, yellow block is behind the red block. We have to place it in the middle. So we can do the same thing which we have done for blue block. We place a blue block about 200 pixels from its original position, from its relative position. Now the same we have to do for the yellow block as well. We have to place 200 pixel from its relative position. So to do this, you can just copy this code. It's pretty same because you have to add the margin towards its right. So everything is similar. Paste this. Yeah, that's what we wanted our challenge. Just don't bother about this white spaces. All we wanted to do is position this blue followed by yellow and then red. Yeah, and that's what we have done here. So this is about the relative positioning. Let's talk about absolute positioning. And if you want, you can even read this. Actually, this is everything which I have explained you now. Coming to absolute positioning. So, what is absolute position? What is the major difference between relative and absolute? In absolute, we are in relative, we are pushing the element in relative to its original position. Before our red box was here, in relative to its position, we are pushing it towards 400 for not 410 pixels towards its left. Towards its right, and we are adding to the margin at its left position. So on what basis are we pushing? On basis of its relative position. On basis of its original position, we are estimating 400 pixels and then we are pushing towards it. So now in our absolute positioning, the entire thing is same, but we'll be taking with respect to the parent div. Now here the parent div is body because our div tag is present inside the body tag. So the parent tag over here is a body tag. And before the parent tag is the tag itself. Here now we are changing this div, right? The parent tag, the in relative positioning, we are taking with respect to the div tag itself. But coming to absolute positioning, we'll be taking with respect to the parent tag. Let's create file so that you can understand clearly. Absolute.html. Let's open the new tab. Get our boilerplate, change our document to absolute, and they can just create these 3 blocks. The entire thing is similar. Nice style tag. Let's remove this. Even inline. So we got our 3 blocks over here. Now let us say I have used the position as absolute. Now save this and run. You can see the blue block has disappeared, but in our previous tab, when we used the position related, there was no major change. On adding the left and right values, we have seen a change. But now on writing the absolute word itself, we have seen the blue block has disappeared. Actually, the blue block disappeared. It actually went beneath the red block. What's happening here in the sense, now the red block has taken the absolute positioning. When it takes absolute positioning, it comes out of the what we say out of the this block elements. Now let the red, blue and yellow are like a type of stack, and while writing the absolute positioning for red tag, it's coming out of this stack, and now it's taking only with respect to the parent element. Now if I'm adding a left pixel of, let's say, 200 pixel, save this and run. Since there's no major change, you can even for the relative it might have done the same. It's adding a margin at the left for of 200 pixel, but in relative it's actually adding a margin of 200 pixel. That's the reason, as there is a 200 pixel margin, the blue block cannot enter that region, and it's at the second level. It's not coming to the top level. But now here it's not actually adding a 200 pixel over here, it's actually pushing the element towards the 200 pixel with respect to the parent element. What it's doing in a sense, now here the parent element is body, which means this entire body is a parent element, and we are taking a left. We are coming towards left of the body. This is the left of the body, and we are saying 200 pixel, which means push the body of 200 pixel from the left of the body. So from 200 pixel, push this block. We are doing the same, pushing the red block from 200 pixel from the body tag. As we have pushed and there is no margin over here, the blue is sliding towards top. If you do the same for blue, then the yellow will slide towards the top. And let's have a guess. Now, if instead of writing, wait, what happened? Yeah, instead of writing left, I'm writing right 200 pixels. So what might have happened? Now let us say I have removed this, save and run. Now blue block is beneath the red block, and I'm writing right 200 pixels. So now save this. Yeah, no, I didn't run this program, but you might have guessed that here a right will be added and this block will slide towards left, as there is, after sliding only the half part of this will be visible, or actually 200 pixel, right? So this red block should not be visible. This will entirely slide it towards the right side. So in relative quotient, this is what happens. If you write quotient relative and give a right of 200 pixels, this red block vanishes. Rather than saying vanishes, a 200 margin will add over here and the red block slide towards the left. But if you run this program, you can see the red block is coming over here, because here right and left are taking with respect to the parent div. Here the parent div is body div, I mean the body tag. When we write, when we gave the command as right, it comes towards the right of the web page. Now the right is here of the div, and you're saying the following div should present at 200 pixel from the right of the body element. So from the right, the 200 pixel distance, we are having a body element. So this is what we wanted. Hence absolute positioning takes place with respect to the parent element. Now let us do an experiment with absolute positioning. Now I want you to implement the blocks in such a way. Before the blocks has to be in this way, and from this you have to convert them to this using absolute positioning. Pause this video and give it a try. So the first idea which you'll be getting is these are in different phases, so no need to convert them into inline block elements. Let them be block itself. After that, you can see that the red has been moved towards the bottom and yellow has been moved towards the top. You might think, let's add absolute positioning to yellow. That's not required, because if you add absolute positioning to red and blue, automatically yellow will slide towards the top. Then the yellow has been slided towards top, so there's no need of adding absolute positioning to yellow. If we add absolute positioning to blue and red, then automatically yellow slide towards the top. Now wait, let's try that with absolute positioning. Go for position, let's say absolute. Yeah, now copy this text. Yeah, you can see blue tag, but behind blue tag there's a red tag as well as the yellow tag. Yellow tag is its in original place itself. No, there's no need to do any changes in the bottom tag. All the changes which we have to do should contain the blue tag and the red tag. Let us first change the blue tag. Initially blue tag was here. We have to push it towards the bottom. We can do by, this is parent div, this is the top of the parent, so we have to add 200 pixels from top of the parent. Let's add top 200 pixel. Our blue block has slided towards the bottom. It has slided after giving absolute positioning and adding a 200 pixel at the bottom. Now I want to change the slide this blue tag towards right side. If you add a 200 pixel at the left side, then it change. I mean here this is 200 pixel, right? So this is the left side of body tag, and the distance is 200 pixels. So you have to add 200 pixel towards the left side of the body tag. Yes, right, left 200 pixel. Now save and run. Wow. So our first part is completed. You might think the yellow is not there, but actually yellow is beneath red. So yellow, blue has been placed. Now if I change the red, then you can see the yellow. Now the red is 200 plus 200, 400 pixel in the beneath. Let's add to the top. Let's take these values first. Copy, paste. Top is 400 pixel, and you can see bottom also is 400 pixel. Yeah, now this is what we desired and we got it. So this is about absolute positioning, and this is relative positioning. I guess you might got the major difference between them. Now let us head towards the another positioning, which is fixed. Fixed positioning is pretty easy compared to all types of positioning. Fixed position in the sense the block will be fixed itself, or whatever changes you do to web page, the block doesn't change. Now let us say let's create a new web page saying fixed. Wait, it's me. Fixed.html. Let's get our HTML boilerplate. Change our document name. Yeah. And now let's create a few h1 tags. So to show you the difference, I'm creating this h1 tags. Let's say I create a lot of them. We're doing this so that we'll be getting a web page and we can slide them towards the bottom. Now save this and run. Now actually you're able to scroll the web page. Let us create a block in the same way. Let's take a div tag, go to your style tag, give the div type as usual, the width 200 pixel, a height 200 pixel as well, and last but not least, background color. Okay, hello. Now you can see, now if I'm trying to slide my web page, the block will disappear because it's a static block type. It's fixed, static in a sense, it's fixed over there, and this doesn't changes. It's present at the top, and when you scroll them, there's no big difference. This is the thing which we estimated. But what if I change its position to, let's say, fixed? Now what happens? There are no attributes in fixed mode. So let's save this and run. Actually, it's type of elevated. Now behind this yellow box, there are actually h1 tags. If you scroll this, the yellow block isn't disappearing. It should be, if it's static, then it used to be in this place itself, and when we scroll, this block used to disappear. But whereas fixed, it's actually fixed at the position. Whatever you do, if you scroll the web page or whatever you do, the block will stay in its original place itself. Now let us give a left padding so that you can understand it clearly. A left margin. We are pushing it left to a 200 pixel. Now you can see actually these hey are present over here, and if you're trying to scroll the web page, the yellow is usually we use this type of fixed elements. In websites you might have seen, there will be a small box over here saying chat with us or contact us using these details. You can use them over here. Let's give an h1 tag saying let's say this and run. So when you're viewing this web page, you're scrolling down and this doesn't disappear, and then pressing this you'll be redirected to another page. This type of things you can implement in your web page. This is about fixed positioning. Hence these all are the four types of positioning. Static is the default, relative, absolute, and fixed, which we have learned now. Yes. So after positioning, we are having a small topic known as the float and clear. This is not much important, but you have to use this in few cases. Let's talk about the float property. So to demonstrate it more clearly, let's head over to float mdn. You can see we're having a box over here. You can say a div tag, or it might be also an image tag, and followed by this you're having a text or a paragraph tag. I'm getting this because it's a block type. Obviously you might have read this is block type, hence it's preventing the text to come towards the top and it's being placed at the bottom of it. This is the basic idea which we are having, and that's when we are using float as none. Suppose you have used float as left. You can see the text starts embedding from the top of the web page itself. That's what's happening in the sense it's actually wrapping the elements around it. When you use float to the left, then when we are taking the div element, then it's floating this part over to the left. Now this is the div tag, right? Div tag is being placed at the left, and to the right of it the element the paragraph tag is there. So when you write float left, this div is being floated towards the left. When you write float right, this div will float towards your right. When you press float none, this will go to your default block element and will not allow the text tag to enter its original place. So this is about float. You can actually, this float is quite useful, but you have to not use it for positioning. You have for positioning relative and absolute. If you try to use in case of positioning, then it might be hard to debug. So use it when there's when you can there's a small div and you can solve those div by making small changes and you can understand those changes. So only in few cases try to use float and avoid it in many cases. Next head, let's go for clear. Clear is exactly opposite of float, or also it's now also called as anti-float property. Uh, when you come to clear, you can say now you can predict that this is float left and this is float right. By now you have got an idea about how float works. To create this, you can have a div tag. Inside the div of this, you can write float towards the left, then you'll be getting this element. And for this element, you might have written float right. And this is clear by now. Now, what if you write clear? Clear left in a sense, whatever you should mention this clear part inside this div tag, and when you mention this inside this div tag, it will clear whatever text present at the left of this block. So this block is placed at the left, so the text all touching this block will be removed. There's a reason the text touching this block aren't removed because we have wrote clear left. If we write clear right, the text presenting and the text touching this box will be removed. This box will not be removed, but actually the size is smaller than this, then the entire text is being removed from the right block and left block. So if you want to remove from both, you'll be using clear both. In this case it's same because we are removing the text present in the left side of the right block. So now let's discuss about the font family. This is the last topic. So font family is nothing but you'll be changing your font styles. You might have known about Times of India, Georgia, Arial, and this also you will be changing the fonts. Let's see the basic about font family. Actually, there are only 4 or 3 font families which we mainly use. First of all, let's create uh, HTML. Yeah, let's give this as a family. Actually, a font family. It's better to say it as a family. Copy the path. Okay. Now, let us give an h1 tag. Uh, let us say this is our 6th video so far. Yeah. Let us even give a p tag as well. Okay. I'm kind of excited about it. Now, if you save and run, there you got your h1 tag and p tag. This is basic. Now, let us style our body text, because if you style the text in your body tag, it applies to all the elements present inside the body. So it's better if we apply the body tag. Go for style, um, type body, go for font family. Now, actually these are not needed. The main families are serif, sans serif, monospace, and fantasy. So these 4 are pretty important. The Times of India, the Times of Roman, these all aren't font family. They are font types. Font families are only 4 to 5, which is mainly a serif, sans serif, fantasy, and monospace. So let's see what is serif. When you save and run, it's actually quite no different, because serif is a default font family which you are using. Now let us check sans serif. Now you can, what's the difference between serif and sans serif is that for serif you're getting this type of extra spaces, extra text for this T or H. It's like type of overflow. If you run this, you can see it is magnet. It's correct and fixed. So this is about sans serif, and let's check other families. We have a fantasy. So this is a type of fantasy, like the avatar font we usually say. Now these 4 aren't sufficient. Now if I want to have Georgia, Arial, or any other fonts, then you can head over to mini site known as Css Font Stack. So in this there are many types of fonts, and also another important thing is that you can't just randomly see a font in Google and try to implement in your code. Then that's not going to work, because those fonts has to be inbuilt in your computer. Then only you can apply them. So here's a few fonts, which is now Avant-Garde is there, which is not even present in Windows, and it's present only in few Mac. And now you have suppose this font which is not present in most of the Macs. Whereas now when you go for Helvetica, it's present in all Macs, because it was usually made for Apple laptops, and it's not there in most of the Windows laptops. Suppose I want to implement this, as mine is a Mac. Let's try to implement this. You can make few changes here. This font remains the same. Now let us say I want to increase the size. Usually I keep the headers I keep as 34 pixels, and the paragraph tags I keep it as 28 pixels. Let's go for 34. And the weight, let's say bold, or bold. Style italic. This type of italic. Variant normal. Line height, let's give 1.3. Okay, now all we have to do is, you can see here h1 tag, save heading setting. You can see you can directly copy this text over here, but sometimes you might not find this thing. So that's the reason we are doing extension. What happens is first it's gonna check for Helvetica, and if it's not present here, it will check for another Helvetica. Even if this is not present, then it's going to check for Arial. Most of the processor we will find Arial for sure. Suppose if it's not there, then it's going to get a sans serif font. So even if this fails, obviously we are going to get some text. And these are the font size which I have mentioned now. So we need only for H1, so only copy up to this part, save this, head over, and now paste. Now let us copy this, run. You can see now the H1 tag is Helvetica and this is fantasy. So you can even change here, you have P tag as well. Just go here to header tag and apply on paragraph. Be getting a p tag from here, so this entire thing is p tag. So copy this and paste. You'll be fine. You'll be getting changes even for p tag as well. So this is about fonts, and sometimes you want a font very badly. Suppose you found a font which is pretty attractive, but it's not present in your processor, and if you want to implement it in any cost, then you have another way of implementing. Go to Google Fonts. Google Fonts is pretty cool. You can see that you can implement any type of fonts present in it. You have 1284 families, and absolutely you can implement the all 1284 even if it is present in your laptop or not. That's because now let us find some random font. Let's say let's look for any cursive. Okay. Okay. You can even change it over here. Go for select this style. Now what happens in Google Fonts is that you'll be getting a link over here. Now copy this link or paste it in your what we say after the title part. Remove this styles. I mean this, and you even have a font family specifications here. Copy this font family and paste it in your body part. What happens is if the body doesn't have this font family, the cherish font family, then it's going to go towards the link present over here and import this font family from here and then going to embed it. Now let us check this. You can see. So now even our paragraph tag and our H1 tag are being changed. I guess this is not present in a laptop because this is pretty rare and will not be finding. Most of the cursive will be having only serif and sans serif fantasy. Cursive are not many present in our laptops. So from it's been importing from the Google Fonts and showing you the fonts. So this is about fonts, and you can even uh, uh, get many websites from it. You can find more good fonts and try to save those fonts so that you can use them in your websites. So this is it for today's session. We have completed a lot of aspects today. We learned about two display properties. I mean, actually three, but the main important is block and inline, and another one is combination of this. Then again we have a none or as well display. In position we are having four positioning. This is the default positioning, relative, absolute, fixed, and other three types. We learned about floating and clear as well. It's about float and clear, and at last we took a preview about font family. And two main websites which I use is the Google Fonts, and the other one is you can see Font Stack. So these two are important for, I mean not important, these are more than enough for your selecting your font. And that's it for today guys. Meet you tomorrow, and don't miss tomorrow's session because tomorrow we'll be doing our end project for HTML and CSS. And make sure you understand the project and try to implement a project on your own and submit it in the mentioned Google form. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you.